Since 2014, the terrorist organization named ISIL or Daesh quickly gained control over a large territory in Iraq and Syria, attracting many foreign terrorist fighters from all over the world. After the collapse of Daesh, many of those FTFs are now returning to their country of origins. As they travel back, they take their partners and children with them. These FTFs and their families pose a serious challenge to their countries of origin, since they have been and potentially still are connected to an international terrorist network. So how do states deal with such an increased security risk? To address this challenge, it is important for governments to cooperate with a wide range of partners, including law enforcement authorities, mental health professionals, religious leaders, and local community members. Optimal relationships between these parties makes it easier to collect information that allows for timely detection and identification of FTFs and their families, and for assessing the risk that they pose. In all cases, addressing the returning families of FTFs requires a careful balance between a security and a care perspective, always in full accordance with international human rights law. Returning families can pose a threat, but they can also be in need of care. A conflict zone is an extreme living environment, where particularly women and children are vulnerable to exploitation, stigmatization, and sexual violence. The risks and needs of members within one family can differ a lot, and should be evaluated individually. In order to do so, it is crucial to properly categorize returning family members during intake interviews. Children are often victims because they are usually simply taken along when decisions are made to travel or participate in violent activities abroad. Rehabilitation and reintegration programs focusing on children should target socialization and education, whilst keeping the children's best interests a priority. Women may be victims, perpetrators, witnesses, or a combination of all of these. Women and girls can experience a conflict zone in a significantly different manner than men. On top of that, they have often faced sexual and gender-based violence. Rehabilitation and reintegration for women and girls should take these experiences into account. It is also important for legal policies and officials to recognize that a woman is not always a victim. Women can play an important role in the process of radicalization to violence, or willingly and actively partake in extremist violence. Recognizing the diversity of returning families and avoiding the stigmatization by referring to any particular religion, culture, ethnic group helps to reduce the stigma around returning families. Social cohesion is essential for successful reintegration of families of FTFs. Through rehabilitation and reintegration policies, states should avoid conflicts and social alienation, which could undermine rehabilitation efforts and encourage terrorist activities. Addressing these social factors of radicalization to violence will encourage long-term cultivation of resilience, guard against re-radicalization, and ease reintegration. In conclusion, states should develop tailored approaches to meet the needs of returning families of FTFs, yet ensure that their country's laws are enforced and their society is kept safe. Do you want to know more about addressing the challenges of returning families of FTFs? Read the full text of the Good Practices on Addressing the Challenge of Returning Families of Foreign Terrorist Fighters document produced by the Global Counter-Terrorism Forum. You can find the document, including a comprehensive list of legal, policy, and operational considerations, at toolkit.thegctf.org or thegctf.org.